I'd like to welcome you to this overview call. If you have been invited to watch, then most likely you have been referred by somebody that already works with our company and they think highly of you, think you may indeed be a fit for our company. Perhaps you applied to an ad you saw online at some point. The biggest thing we want to accomplish is we don't hire everybody. We're a $100 million company and streamlining to $1 billion just aggressively in growth mode. So we get hundreds of resumes. So what we want to do with this overview is give you a chance to look very detailed into our company, into the position, into exactly what it is we do, and make sure that it's a fit on your end. That way we don't waste any of your time. And then if it is indeed a fit on your end, then you can contact us back and we can dig a little bit deeper and make sure that you are indeed a fit on our end. So we'd like to welcome you again to this overview call with Ray Financial Group, which is an affiliate of the Alliance, where our motto is protecting families and growing leaders. We will be breaking down the company, starting from a little bit about my story personally. We'll be breaking down the market that we work in, the carriers that we work with, the leads and how we find our people, as well as the system that we have. So a little about myself. My name is Chadwick Ray. I am one of the managing partners of Ray Financial Group, which, we're just a small piece of the big, massive entity that is the Alliance, which is a $100 million IMO headquartered out of Burlington, North Carolina. My story, I grew up single mother and saying, hey, you have got to get yourself some good grades so you can get yourself a good job, as I'm sure most of you heard at some point. And I did what I was supposed to do, got good grades, graduated from Virginia Tech with an accounting degree, started working for an auditing firm in D.C., and my job was to audit different departments of the U.S. government. I played by the rules. The problem is, I remember at the time I was married, still am, I'm going on 8 years now. I had a little baby girl at the time, and I wanted more time off with her. Furthermore, my wife was getting her master's, and I was the only income in a very, very expensive area. I was only making $44,000 or $45,000 as a full-time accountant working for an auditing firm, and money was just extremely tight. I started looking for something where I had more flexibility in my time, where if I wanted to spend a little bit of time at home with my family, I could. If I wanted to take off a little time, I could. If I wanted to work hard, I could, and I got compensated for it. But I just needed some extra income. I was in a position where an extra $500 a week meant the world to me. Extra $1,000 a week would have blew my mind. So I found out about this company, and that year I started working about 10 hours a week on average, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. But I made right at $44,000 as a part-timer. Second year, I boosted it up and started working on a full-time basis, which if you want to call 30 hours full-time, that's what I did. I made $126,000 full-time that year. Third year, it popped up to about $184,000. Last year, I hit just shy of the $250,000 mark. And now I'm to the point where I'm really looking for the right people that I could train to do the exact same thing. That way we can build this company from $100 million to $1 billion. Now, the market you work in is extremely important. At the end of the day, you can have the shiniest gadget in the world, but if nobody wants to buy it, you're going to go broke. Now, the good news is the market we work in is massive, massive, massive. We work with the baby boomers. That's people born in between the ages of 1946 to 1964. And what a lot of people don't know is they have driven every market since the time they were born. When they were born, Gerber came along and they said, we're going to get rich, we're going to automate the process, we're going to give them baby food instead of the mama having to continue to mash up the carrots and the peas. They got a little older, Tyco and Mattel said, we're going to give them toys, we're going to get rich, and they did. They got a little older, they wanted to get a car, they didn't want their mom's station wagon, they wanted an SUV. And when they got a little older, they said, we're ready to buy a house. This is when the housing boom comes along. Several of them, or a majority of them, are in a position where they couldn't afford the house that they were in, so that's when we dealt with the housing crunch. Like everything that the baby boomers have touched has had a massive impact. Now they are turning 65 at the rate of 10,000 per day. The first one hit 65 January 1st of 2011, and they will continue to for about the next 20 years. We also deal in middle income America. We don't try to run after the 1% and try to get rich from those 1%. We also don't deal with the bottom of the pool either. We can't make money if they're being helped out by the government. What we are dealing with is the middle 80% of America. They are the biggest but most underserved market. Now, how do we help them? A couple of different ways. One is mortgage protection, which is straightforward. If somebody dies, gets ill or disabled, it pays the house off. If you think back years ago when everybody was losing their house, you would think it was because everybody worked in construction and lost their job. But typically it was if one of those main breadwinners had an illness, a death, or disability, then the family left behind didn't have any money coming in to continue to pay for the mortgage. And we help people out through a couple of different ways. Final expense that pays off their burial arrangements, retirement protection. We make sure that people's money stays safe, where by law they'll never lose another dime. So it's not in the market. We also help people to avoid taxes in retirement, which is a big, big deal. Now, who are the people that actually pay you? It's our large insurance carriers. They're the people that pay you. We have about 12 that we have on our roster that we work through. We have some that we use more than others, but all of them are A-rated and billion-dollar companies. An example is Mutual of Omaha. They're a Fortune 500 company. Been around since 1909, $14.9 billion. Transamerica, been around since 1906, $31 billion. Forster's, 135-year-old company, $6.2 billion company. And one of the things I like about them is with all the money that we make in our company and all the individuals like yourself you would make, these companies send you on all expenses paid trips around the country as a thank you. So if you remember my story, when I first came on board, I was broke as can be, no passport. I started this company and I've been on in the past 6 years, maybe 11 all expenses paid trips around the country. Mutual of Omaha sent me and my wife to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic for a week. Forster's sent us to Fiji for a week. Transamerica, as well as other carriers, sent us on a Caribbean cruise. Like every year is maybe anywhere from 1 to 2 all expenses paid trips that they send you on for free. And a few advantages of working with the specific carriers we work with. There's no medical exam. Meaning no person prodding at you with a needle or asking you to give your urine or any of that stuff, which is very good because insurance companies, if they do check you, they are looking for problems. If they can charge you more, they will. If they can find anything that they really don't want to cover, they can. But if there's no physical examiner, they're just going to say, hey, well, do you have anything crazy in your background? Okay, well, then you're good to go with us. It gets issued in a day or two. You get paid a day or two after that. So you're not waiting a month. You get paid after you help out these families. You're getting paid a couple of days after that. The amount that you cover yourself with, the death benefit face amount, is never going to drop. It will always stay the same. And it's going to cover you no matter what happens to you. Accident, disability, sickness, it doesn't matter. And then also there's some options that, God forbid you die, is going to pay. But if you stay alive, they will return all of the premiums you paid into them. It's a full refund. And we have policies that we give out like that all the time. Now, here's what grabbed me. We actually have the people that want the coverage. I didn't want to be in a position where the only way I could make money is I had to talk to 100 family and friends that I'd spoken to over the years and that I know really well. And then as soon as I try my hardest to sell them, I'll never get invited to another cookout in my family because they want to avoid me. I wanted to be in a position where they already have people that have asked for it, and that's what we have here. We pay court reporters all around the country. Their job is when somebody has recently bought a home or refinanced a house, they get the information and then we mail them. When they get married, we mail them. Have a baby, turn 65 years old, we mail out a million letters just like that. And for the people that want coverage, they mail it back into us. And these are exactly what it looks like. They'll mail in their date of birth, their height, their weight, smoking status, spouse's information, home phone, work phone, cell phone. They will check the preferred person to talk to. They will check the preferred phone number, and they will sign it at the bottom saying, help me. And it says right at the top, they qualify to purchase insurance coverage. So they know exactly what it is they're looking for. Now, what's interesting is what makes McDonald's work, that they can hire teenagers, they can hire people that are 80 years old, and they can train every single one of them. It's because they have a system. And once you have a system that trains people, it doesn't matter where they're located. If they're in Idaho or if they're in Arkansas, if they're in Virginia or Florida, they will follow the same exact system and get the same exact results. We have a system. We have a sales system where we will tell you specifically when people fill out these forms, what do you say on the phone to them? When you get in the home, there's a training manual on here's exactly what you do when you get into the house. We have an activity book that helps us to coach our agents. So based on how many people they've spoken to, how many they've gotten on the phone, it will tell us exactly how to coach them to get the amount of appointments that they need to get. We even have face-to-face local training in 67 major cities across the country. We even have a university of curriculum that you can constantly reference if you need help. But our system, again, is set up where we can hire people for their attitude and their personality and not just simply their work experience or their education. It's a big deal. I have friends that they have a GED and they go out and they make a ton of money with our company. And then we have some people in our company that are rocket scientists and engineers, and they make a ton of money with us. Why? Because it's not about their background. It's about the system and your willingness to follow directions. But again, our company has all types of different backgrounds. And yes, we also do hire people that have an insurance background as well. But you still have to have the ability to just work in the system. So I'll break down quickly exactly how does the money work. You go out, you make a sale, you help somebody out with mortgage protection, final expense, whatever it is they're asking for. The average nationwide monthly premium that they pay is around $85 a month. Now, if you take that amount and you multiply it times 12 months, then instead of the monthly premium, you have what's called annual premium, which the average annual premium that the client pays per year is around $1,000. Now, the companies pay you, we call it 55% contract rate, but an easy way to say it is they're going to pay you about half of what the client is paying on the year. So for easy math, every time you go out and you make a sale, you make around $500 a pop. Okay. Sometimes you're going to make $300, sometimes you're going to make $3,000, but the average is $500. So how in the world did I make the kind of money that I made on a part-time schedule? Well, I have several people that I've taught to do the exact same thing. You work 10 to 12 hours. 4 to 5 of those hours, you're on the phone calling up the people that asked for the coverage, and that's going to help you to set up about 4 or 5 appointments. So you'll be in the home for about 4 or 5 hours because it takes on average about 45 minutes to an hour per person you sit with. You're going to help out about half the people that you see, so you'll make 2 sales from that, which is going to make you about $1,000 per week, and you'll spend about 2 to 3 hours sharpening your saw. It's been said that if you have 4 hours to chop down a tree, you should spend 3 hours sharpening your axe. Right? So how do we sharpen our saw? It's learning. It's some of that training, some of that university curriculum. It's listening to the phone scripts again, listening to the in-home presentation. It's just getting sharp. Okay. But if you do that consistently, you should make around $52,000 a year as a part-timer. And that's if you don't take any time off, you're just after it. Okay. Reason I made 44 grand is because I take some weeks off. You know, I'm a human, you know, and a lot of times I try to hire humans and not just robots, but if you're a robot, that's okay too. Full-time schedule, instead of you working 10 to 12 hours, you're probably going to be working 30 hours, about 12 hours on the phone, 10 to 12 hours in the home, 5 to 6 hours sharpening your saw. You're going to help out half the people you see and make maybe anywhere from $2,000 plus, you know, maybe up to $3,000 depending on your closing ratios. But if you're average, probably about $2,000 a week, and that's a 6-figure income just by going out and helping out these families. And I will, you know, make note that our top part-time agents make full-time money. They'll go out and help out 4 to 5 families a week. They'll just structure their schedule to do that. And our top full-time agents close about 9 to 10 weekly. But again, the averages are what they are. So I've had some people that I work with and that I've hired over time, and they say, well, I've heard that if you work your butt off in the insurance industry, not if you're just the typical person, but if you work your butt off, you can make actually hundreds of thousands of dollars, not just 100. I've heard you can make millions. How do you go about doing that? Well, you have to have a unified vision that the CEO has, you know, and his vision is, how do we get from $100 million to $1 billion company? How do we get to 10 billion? Well, we have to be able to fix the problem that we have. Our company has a problem. It's a good one, but it is indeed a problem. After every agent helps as many families as they can help, we normally have around 15,000 families left over on a weekly basis asking for help. As a matter of fact, if you look over to the right, this is just showing today, you know, what's left over in every state, the families that are saying, I need some help, right? That just filled out the forms, you know, today. You know, it's probably going to look completely different and be even more tomorrow. But this is what it looks like on a regular basis. And this is what us mailing 1 million letters. You know, we have capacity to send over 10 million letters. So we are in a position where we really need manpower. And for those of you that's out there, we need woman power too. Like, we just need help. The insurance companies pay big time bonuses regularly to the people who help refer good, sharp talent to our company. Now, in corporate world, we're used to seeing it. They call it an organizational chart. You'll have the guy at the top, that's the president and CEO. He has a couple of vice presidents, and the vice president has a couple people that he oversees in management, and then the managers have several people in their staff that they oversee. What you don't realize is the person at the bottom may make $24 an hour, but the work that they do may very well be worth $72 an hour, where you see next to the president and CEO. So every hour that the staff person works is worth $72, and the difference between the president and the vice president We call that spread and override. That's how it works. So if you look over to the right, it says, note, for every hour that the staff works, it actually makes the company $16 an hour in profit. And that's how a business thrives. In our world, it works the exact same way. We'll just teach people that say, I want to help build this business. You got a lot of people asking for it. Why not I be the person that's managing this business? I can have my own little agency that I've trained. So we'll teach you how to hire yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Right? And out of that, you're probably going to end up having one person that's like, I want to build it just like you. I'm trying to make some upper echelon type of money. You might have another person that's like, maybe I'll just have one person, maybe a buddy of mine. Maybe I'll run one ad and find one person. And then you'll have several other people, in this case, 2 people that says, hey, I just want to sell. I just want to go out and help a family here and there. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that they desire to do, you help them to achieve that. And what happens is, with this example of what you're looking at, if everybody does just one sale per week, meaning that they're working 5 hours or maybe less per week, you would actually make $8,600 per month. About $3,200 would be from your personal sales. Again, you're only closing down one sale, not 2, 3, as we suggested. And about $5,400 would be overrides, or we call them spreads in the insurance industry, based on the business that you have put together. And I always tell people, think about if you've built a business that looks like this and you also sell 3 to 6 policies per week instead of just one. Well, that's what I did about my 3rd year in the business, and that's how I made $184,000. Now, I would say if you just want to sell only or build a business while you sell, either of which are okay. Just like buying a house or renting a house, both of those are fine. The only problem is you don't want to rent out a house for 30 years. Why? Because at the end of 30 years, you have nothing to show for it versus buying. But there's nothing wrong with renting for a little while. So if somebody wants to sell only, and let's say somebody, it makes more sense to me to just go out here and sell and help families, that's completely fine. You'd be self-employed, you'd have a job, but a very high-paying job, but it is indeed a job. And we will be focused on building your wealth, and you'd be traveling the beaches of the world. Because again, remember, these carriers send you on trips every single year. Now, if you're selling while you're trying to build the business, in addition to that, then not only are you self-employed, but you're also a business owner. And as opposed to you just working a job, you're really working on a dream. And instead of you just building your own wealth, you're also building your family's wealth. Again, this is money that you'll be bringing in whether you are selling or not. Or you may look 2 years down the road and you're not selling anymore because of the business that you built. And this is not only going to build your wealth, but because you have a business, this is something you can will to your family. And you'll obviously be traveling the beaches of the world as well. But again, it boils down to which one makes more sense to you, either of which is okay, because we need good salespeople, and we'll train you how to sell. We need people that want to help us to build this business. We'll never get to $1 billion without you helping us. So the real question is, what would an extra $500 per week do in your life? For some people, extra $500 a month would have kept them out of foreclosure years ago. An extra $500 a week means that they can actually buy the car of their dreams. For some people, it's going to help them pay off their mortgage early. Like, what would it do for you? Maybe you could pay down your debt. As a matter of fact, what would an extra $5,000 per month do for you? That's about what I was making on a part-time basis. If you paid off all your debt, what would you do then? Would you just save in your bank account? Like, do you know what it feels like to have $50,000 in your savings account for emergencies? Would you travel? Where would you go? Would you build yourself a big house? How many bedrooms would you have? How many baths would you have? Like, this is real deal stuff. To make an extra $500 a week, you're working less than 10 hours. You just need to sit down with a couple families. Would you give back to your community? Who could you help? For me, when I started making that kind of money, all I could think of was, how many other people can I train to do this? How many other people can I help to do this? Like, it's a win-win. I can make millions of dollars, and I could train my people to go out and make as much as they want to make, whether that's an extra $500 a week or $5,000 a week. It's up to you. Our company was founded on 3 principles. Number 1 is integrity. Number 2, good for producers. We wanted to provide an atmosphere where if somebody wants to go out and work hard and sell, then they can do it, and they're going to get compensated extremely well for doing it. We wanted to be good for leaders. If somebody says, hey, you know what? I've always wanted to lead. I always wanted to manage and actually get compensated for that, that we provide an atmosphere for that. Again, we want people with the right hearts that care about others. We want aggressive people that have big dreams. And guess what? For the people that say, look, my only dream right now is just to pay my bills, great. Let's start there. That's where I was 6 years ago. And then as soon as I paid those bills, my dream got a little bit bigger and then a little bit bigger. We want those that are willing to work hard within a system, follow directions, and change their financial destiny. So that is a detailed overview of our company. Now, what's the next step? Essentially, just get back to the person that invited you, ask them what to do next. And for the people that are starting to get worried, no, we're not going to tell you need to pay us any fee or anything crazy like that to work for us. You don't have to worry about that. Matter of fact, if you already hold an insurance license, we'll pay your contracting fees, and hopefully we'll teach you and hold your hand and teach you how to go out here and make some money immediately. If that's part-time, hopefully you're out here making $500 to $1,000 a week. Full-time, as much as you really want to make. If you don't hold a life insurance license currently, it's not a big deal. For most people, if they have a lot on their plate, they'll get it done in about a week. If people have nothing on their plate, they'll probably get it done in 2-3 days. What it's going to cost you to get that done between your study software and everything, taking the test, background check, all that stuff, $150 or less in almost every state. Some states a little less, some states a little more, but that's the average that we've seen. And again, you're not paying that to us, but you pay it to the State Department of Insurance so you can hold a legal license. And at that point, we're going to tell you how to go out here and really make it happen.